So, you're still out here chasing women like it's a full-time job? Still think being the nice guy who replies in a nanosecond, showers her with compliments, and claps like a trained seal for every Instagram story is gonna land you the starring role in her heart? Bless your heart. Seriously, it's adorable. If wishful thinking paid the bills, you'd be living in a penthouse by now. Let's cut to the chase. The playbook you've been sold on how to win someone over was written by a guy who's never won anything but a one-way ticket to Disappointment City. You follow those tired rules, and where do you end up? Ghosted. Friend-zoned. With your self-esteem so crushed it could double as gravel for a construction site. While you're out there tossing out heart emojis like cheap candy, guess who she's actually into? The guy who doesn't reply in 3 seconds flat. The one who doesn't write novels in her DMs. The one who probably forgot what an emoji even is. The guy who, get this, actually likes himself. He's not out here begging for her attention like it's his last shot at oxygen. Because, plot twist, women are drawn to a challenge, not a doormat. And why's that guy the one she's eyeing? Because he's cracked a code, not some cheesy alpha male YouTube tutorial or the advice of your buddy who only scores in dating sims. It's the quiet, deadly, and downright classy code of Stoic Seduction. And you, my friend, haven't got a clue how to wield it. But today, by some stroke of luck, or because the algorithm took pity on you and dropped this video in your feed, you're about to learn the 7 forbidden rules. This isn't a recipe for cupcakes. It's a stick of dynamite. It's gonna blow up your ego, your pride, and if you survive, might just make you someone worth noticing. But hold up. This isn't for the emotionally fragile or the guy still thinking gratitude is a personality trait that opens bedroom doors. These rules are for men who are done playing the fool in someone else's emotional circus. Men who've realized that being desired isn't a handout, it's earned. Ready to be the guy she chases? Then park that anxious backside and listen up. Because after this, there's no more room for excuses. You either level up, or you stay the sidekick in her rom-com life. Oh, and one last thing before we dive in. If this video found you, it's because the algorithm, in its infinite mercy, hasn't given up on saving your sorry self. So do your part, champ. Hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a gratitude in the comments, not for me, but for you. Because this might just be your last shot at stopping being her go-to doormat. Enough chit-chat. Time to hear the truths no one's had the guts to tell you. Rule number 1. Silence is seduction. Or, shut your trap for your own sake. You talk too much. And no, it's not charming. It's not charisma. And it sure as hell isn't being real. It's just desperation dressed up in words. Every time you open your mouth to play the nice guy, the interesting dude, or the sensitive soul who gets it, you're digging your own grave in the attraction department. Want to know what actually turns heads? It's not your 500-word essay about your favorite hiking trails. It's not your live-streamed life story in her texts. It's silence. Silence is the loudest flex of confidence. The guy who masters silence isn't begging for attention, he is the attention. He doesn't clog the air with emotional fluff. He uses the quiet like a stage. He lets doubt do the heavy lifting. He knows real power isn't in yapping, it's in knowing when to zip it. While you're out there spilling your guts like a bad therapy session, the stoic man just watches. He reads the room, feels the vibe, and when he does speak, buddy, every word lands like an arrow, sharp, intentional, deadly. He doesn't talk because he's desperate. He talks because he chose to. And that changes everything. Why doesn't she value you? Because you're predictable, transparent, in other words, boring. You lay it all out so fast, she doesn't even have to wonder. And if there's no mystery, there's no spark. Easy things get tossed aside. But mystery? That sticks in her head. That's what makes her think about you at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday, wondering, what's he thinking about right now? And that question, that little seed of doubt, is where desire takes root. But before your brain turns this into a rom-com montage, silence isn't being a cold jerk. It's not emotional frostbite. It's self-control. It's emotional intelligence turned into an art form. It's refusing to let anxiety scream, "Prove yourself." It's carrying yourself like you know, "I don't need to prove jack because I know who I am." Want her to treat your words like rare gems? Then learn to shut up like a king. The man who owns the silence owns the game. The guy who's always filling the quiet. He's just background noise in her life's playlist. Now that you've got that, silence can be your slickest move. Brace yourself for the next truth. It's gonna sting even more. Indifference. Because if silence builds tension, indifference, that's the match that lights the fire of desire. Let's keep rolling, if you can handle it. Rule number 2. Indifference is an aphrodisiac, or how to drive her wild without lifting a finger. Want to know what makes a woman lose her cool and start seeing you as a puzzle she's dying to solve, not just another fanboy in her mentions? Easy. Stop caring so much. And no, this isn't about being a jerk or acting like a sulky teenager. It's about mastering the art of being unshaken. While most guys are out here drowning in their own neediness, hopping from like to like emotional lapdogs trained to please, you're gonna do the opposite. You're gonna show, with ice-cold precision and a touch of class, that she's not the sun your world orbits around hell. She's barely a blip on your radar. Real indifference isn't something you pick up from a clickbait YouTube thumbnail screaming, "How to make her chase you." It's quiet, elegant, and lethal. She throws out some bait, you don't bite. She drops a cryptic hint, you don't play detective. She posts a perfectly staged thirst trap to stroke her ego, and you keep living like her Wi-Fi just crashed. Because your world doesn't revolve around her likes or her games. And that's when the magic happens. This woman, used to guys tripping over themselves to react, starts spiraling. She's thinking, wait, why didn't he fall for my usual tricks like every other simp? Exactly. Because you're not every other simp. You're not bidding for her validation at the attention auction. Your indifference creates a void, an emotional echo, a nagging doubt. Am I not enough? And trust me, that doubt is worth more than any pickup line. It strips away her control, and when she's not calling the shots, guess who's steering? But here's the warning. Don't mix up indifference with being an emotionally unavailable robot. This isn't a free pass to ghost her into oblivion. It's about showing you're there because you chose to be, not because you're starving for her approval. It's presence with purpose, not neediness dressed up as swagger. When she sees you don't bend, don't chase, and here's the kicker, don't flinch at her best-tested moves, you become a riddle. And riddles, they're catnip. The unknown is what she craves. The unattainable is what she chases. So, silence creates tension. Indifference sparks her imagination. But what happens when you dodge every emotional curveball she throws like you're above the storm? That's when you join the big leagues. True mastery, emotional control. Let's talk about that now. Buckle up, we're just getting started. Rule 3, emotional control, sexual power, or stop being an emotional jellyfish. Let's not sugarcoat it. If you're the guy who freaks out over a shady text, claps back at every jab like a hormonal teen, or feels the need to explain your good morning vibe, congrats, you're on the fast track to being the court jester of romance. In the seduction game, the guy who loses his cool loses the lead role and ends up an extra in his own story. A man who can't rein in his emotions is like a sports car with a loose steering wheel. Looks fast, but one turn and you're in the ditch. And trust me, she's gonna test you, always. With a sly dig, a playful jab, or that just kidding barb. Not because she's mean, but because it's wired in her. It's her way of asking, can this guy handle the heat, or is he gonna melt like ice cream on a summer sidewalk? And what do? You take the bait. You react. You get mad. You write a manifesto. And just like that, you've lost. Every time you show she can rattle you, you're screaming weak without saying a word. But the stoic man, he's playing chess while you're stuck at checkers. He listens, watches, flashes a half smile. He doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't need to prove a thing. His very existence says, you can't throw me off my game. And that, my guy, is pure catnip. In a world full of people losing it over nothing, the man who stays cool is a rare breed. He's the emotional equivalent of a penthouse view, calm, steady, and downright luxurious. But let's be clear, self-control isn't about being a bland statue. It's not about going full monk mode. It's knowing exactly when to react and how. It's picking your battles. It's understanding that every reaction burns energy, and a man of value doesn't waste his on petty drama. The guy who responds to everything, feels everything, gets offended by everything. He's just showing he's got no grip on anything. Now, the man who knows when to shut up, when to speak, and picks his moment like an emotional sniper. That guy's magnetic. He commands respect. He sparks desire, because self-control is power. It's sexy. It's quiet authority. It's the kind of presence that fills a room just with the weight of his gaze. And that vibe, you can't fake it. You build it. With practice. With intention. With the grit to stop being the emotional punching bag and start being the man who sets the tempo. But want to level up even more? If controlling your emotions makes you irresistible, imagine what happens when you control what she knows about you. That's when you stop being just a man. You become a mystery. And that's what we're diving into next. But first, yo, champ, you still with me? Tired of being her premium doormat? The guy she steps on, wipes her shoes on, and still smiles like it's a compliment. Time to toss that script in the trash. Down in the description, there's a digital book that won't just make you a bit better. It'll turn you into the challenge she can't stop thinking about. No more playing the nice guy who gets forgotten. No more bowing your head and thanking her for crumbs. The world doesn't respect emotional doormats. Respect is earned. Presence is built. Either you learn to play the game, or you stay the disposable toy of the next bored woman. Simple as that. Choose. Rule 4. Mystery is your weapon, or stop being an open book with the depth of a flyer. Congrats, you've turned yourself into a walking Wikipedia page. In a week, she knows your job, your breakfast order, your childhood sob stories, the name of your first goldfish, and probably the brand of your toothbrush. Then you wonder why she lost interest. Really? You gave her the whole plot before the movie even started. Of course you lost the mystery and with it the spark. Let me lay down a truth no one's dared to shove in your face. What's too easy is never valued. You think you're being open, honest, or building a connection. But all she sees is a predictable book with no plot twists. And predictable people, they're only good for one thing: being forgotten. Mystery, my guy, is what turns a hey into who is this guy? It's what keeps her up at night, her brain spinning over what you didn't say, that look you gave, that calculated pause, that vague answer that teases more than it tells. Mystery is the spice. And you, in your rush to be the nice guy, are serving up a bland dish with zero flavor. The Stoic man. He's a chef. He dishes out crumbs, fragments, a hint here, a glimpse there, never the whole puzzle, because he knows the human brain is wired for gaps, for questions. When you create doubt, you grab attention. When you become a riddle, you become an obsession. But before you go thinking mystery is about acting like some wannabe bad boy from a CW drama, let me stop you. It's not about posing. It's not about cheap theatrics. It's about being real but selective. It's having actual depth and knowing your story is worth more than a desperate dump to get her approval. It's saving the good stuff for someone who's earned the right to hear it. Want to be remembered? Be a question, not an answer. Want to be desired? Be a challenge, not a walking confessional. Because in the end, it's not the guy who bears his soul on the first date that sticks with her. It's the one she can't figure out. The one she feels she has to earn. Easy comes, easy goes. But mystery, that lingers. It sticks. So, if silence pulls her in, indifference messes with her head, and mystery keeps her hooked, imagine what happens when you add the one thing 99% of modern guys lack: self-sufficiency. That's what's next. Brace yourself. It's gonna hit your bloated ego where it hurts. Rule 5. Self-sufficiency is sexy. Or stop smelling like neediness dressed up as kindness. Still think being the sweet guy who replies in a heartbeat, gushes compliments, and is always on call is gonna make her swoon. Cute. Makes me want to pat you on the head, and then yeet you into reality. Because the truth is raw and relentless. Nothing turns people off faster than someone who needs too much. You think she's gonna fall for your open heart, your 24/7 availability, your "I'm so into you" vibes. But what she actually smells? Neediness. And neediness has a stench. That unmistakable whiff of notice me, pick me, validate me. It's desperation in a nice guy costume. But the self-sufficient man? He's playing in a league you didn't even know existed. He doesn't beg, plead, or chase connection. Why? Because he doesn't need to. He's there by choice, not desperation. He's whole, whether she's clapping for him or not, with or without her. And that energy? It's loud. It screams that he's got a life, a purpose, boundaries, and most importantly, peace. And let me tell you, peace is a rare kind of sexy in a world full of emotionally bankrupt people. The Stoic man doesn't trade that peace for a pretty face, a quick reply, or the hope of a +1. He doesn't swap his self-respect for scraps of affection. Because he's not out here trying to be liked, he already likes himself. And here's the cruel irony. That's exactly why she starts wanting him. Because he doesn't need her. And the guy who doesn't need her is always the most intriguing. Because deep down, what pulls her in is knowing he could walk away any second, and still, he chooses to stay. For now. Maybe not tomorrow. Maybe not. This guy doesn't lose it when she takes forever to text back. He doesn't spiral over her story with some random dude. He's not riding an emotional roller coaster every time the game shifts, because he's not playing to survive. He is the game. He's the prize. He's the rock that doesn't budge. And what does that do to her? It throws her off. It disarms her. It makes her question herself. Because for once, she's the one who has to step up. She's the one who has to prove herself. She's the one chasing. Wanna attract? Stop selling yourself. Start being enough. Stop bending over backward. Start standing firm. Because the hardest truth is this. Nobody wants the guy who molds himself to please. Everyone chases the guy who knows he doesn't need to please anyone but himself. Now, if being self-sufficient already puts you head and shoulders above the crowd, imagine what happens when you show, with surgical precision, that you're ready to walk away without a scene, without a meltdown, without a backward glance. That, my friend, is real power. And that's what the next rule is all about. Hold tight. The next hit's coming with brass knuckles and a signature on your ego. Rule number 6. Intentional detachment, or stop being the guy she blocks and start being the one she begs to unblock. You know that pathetic scene of the guy crying, sending walls of text, scrolling through old pics, and blasting breakup ballads like he's mourning a relationship that barely even started? Yeah, that's the poster child for never getting the power of detachment. And not just any detachment, intentional detachment. The kind that doesn't happen by accident but by a stone-cold choice. By self-respect. The Stoic man doesn't slam doors, doesn't yell, doesn't pull the "you'll regret this" card. He just gets up. Quietly. Flawlessly. Unfazed. Because he's learned the ultimate lesson. You don't beg where there's no respect. You don't negotiate with someone who treats you like an extra. You don't grovel for a spotlight when they've stuck you in the wings. And what happens when you walk away like that? No tantrum, no tears, no drama. She crumbles because she was expecting the circus, the meltdown, the predictable relapse. But you don't come crawling back. You don't beg. You don't lower your standards. And that, my guy, is the loudest flex of value you can pull. Detachment isn't coldness. It's emotional maturity. It's your soul saying, I'm not serving myself up to someone who can't handle the full menu. And that clarity, that brutal calm, has a devastating effect. Because she realizes you don't need her. That you're not afraid to lose her. And trust me, Nothing pulls harder than emotional freedom. The Stoic man is free. He's not chained to toxic ties, mind games, or recycled hope that she'll come around. He's with someone because he wants to be, not because he's desperate. And that's why he's magnetic. Because he's whole. And whole people don't beg. Want to be remembered? Learn to walk away with style. No shade. No passive-aggressive Instagram stories. Just silence. Because the man who vanishes without a warning doesn't become an ex. He becomes a legend. A memory she can't shake. But here's the catch. Detachment only works when it comes from a deep well of self-worth and clarity. It's not running away. It's not a game. It's conviction. It's looking in the mirror and knowing, I deserve more than emotional scraps. And when that's clear inside you, there's no going back. And now, to nail the coffin of neediness shut with a golden key, let's talk about the foundation of it all. Knowing you're the prize. Because the Stoic man doesn't fake value. He knows it. And those who know don't negotiate with people who can't see it. Rule 7. You are the prize. Or, stop chasing like you're a free app giveaway. Here's where all the punches we've thrown come together for one knockout blow. If you don't see yourself as the prize, none of this works. You can be the most stoic, silent, mysterious, detached guy on the planet. But if deep down you still feel like a side character, a good enough wannabe, a work in progress begging for a chance, congrats. You've built a castle on quicksand. The truth is brutal and undeniable. You attract what you believe you deserve. If you're still out here trying to prove you're worthy, convincing her you're a catch, pleading for love like it's a job interview, you've already lost. You're negotiating from the bottom of the emotional food chain. Because the real prize, he doesn't chase. He gets chosen by someone with the sense to see his worth. And why are you the prize? Because you've earned it. Because you don't live in take whatever I can get mode. Because you've polished yourself. Because you stopped handing out your whole soul to someone who only gives you half. Because you don't trade respect for a seat at the table. You're enough, and that's why you're rare. The Stoic man isn't out here hoping someone likes him. He observes, he evaluates, he filters. He knows his time is gold, his energy is exclusive. He doesn't jump into relationships to be shaped. He joins to add value, and only with someone on his level. And the kicker? He's not scared of losing. Because he's not replaceable. He's the guy who, if he walks out, leaves a void. Of value, of presence, of balance, of standards. And guess who feels that? Her. Because women have an emotional radar. She knows when you're trying too hard to impress, and she knows when you're just being. She can tell when you're available out of desperation, and when you're there by choice. Want to flip the script? Stop begging. Start choosing. Stop trying to fit in. Start standing out. Because no one sees you as the prize if you act like a consolation prize. At the end of the day, the most powerful rule is this. The man who knows his worth doesn't play to please. He plays to win. Not because he needs to, because it's inevitable. So now that you've got the full picture, one question matters. Are you going to keep being the guy sending "Good morning, princess" to someone who forgets your last name? Or are you going to become the man she chases in silence, wondering why she can't get you out of her head? Choose, because the game's changed, and you're out of excuses to keep playing the emotional fool. Welcome to the next level, where you're either the prize or the disposable entertainment for someone who never took you seriously. Now that you've been handed these 7 rules that just obliterated your old self, tell me, what's your move? Gonna close this video and slide back into your usual script. The one where you reply in 3 seconds, send "good morning" like it's an emotional tax, shower her with compliments she doesn't even register, and beg for attention like a puppy at the pound. Really? Or are you finally gonna get it? The only way to win is to become a real man. Because here's the truth nobody wants to hear. She doesn't need to change. You need to stop being emotionally disposable. Want to be desired? Stop being available 24/7. Want to be remembered? Be the absence that stings, not the overload that suffocates. Want to be respected? Start by respecting yourself so fiercely you'd never settle for being her emotional spare tire. Stoic seduction isn't a bag of cheesy pickup lines. It's not a magic trick. It's raw, unfiltered transformation. It's becoming the man who doesn't need to say a word to command respect. Because his presence speaks. It demands. It draws her in. And if you've made it this far without crying, without bailing halfway, without running to cheap self-help fluff something in you's already waking up, something's realized the path isn't about chasing attention. It's about being impossible to ignore. So drop a comment below. Stoic in progress. That's it. No essay, no fluff. Just a simple line to mark the end of your nice guy era and the birth of a man who finally gets his own worth. Hit that like button if this shook you. Subscribe, because the next video is going to show you how to create emotional tension without even touching her. And after that, my friend, even dates will feel like a whole new dimension. You don't need luck. You need presence. And now you've got it. It's on you to keep being the needy guy nobody notices, or become the man nobody forgets.